So as you guys know, on these calls every week, our goal is to offer three things. On our Wednesday call for our real estate agents and our lender partners on the Art of Home Ownership platform, we want to deliver one tactic or strategy, one highlight or a specific feature on the platform, and then one script or mindset. We're going to move our specific feature up in the rotation because that's why a lot of us are on the call here today. There's most likely a lot of real estate partners and real estate professionals who may be on the call today who are not currently Art of Home Ownership partners. And so we'll have time for Q&A. Feel free to type your questions in the chat box, and then between us and our renovation financing partner will help you with all that as well. So first things first, our Art of Home Ownership feature of the week is our relocation services. As you all know, these used to say, relocation technology, and it was literally just our relocation technology platform, which was our updater software. So we have the ability to let a client know, hey, before you move, let's make sure you're using this relocation technology. It's going to save you time, it's going to save you energy, it's going to save you headache, it's going to save you money. And we're going to walk through this whole process with you. I can tell you, I recently used this service just buying a second home, and it was phenomenal. Just the feedback and the information you get, the time frame of everything, it's really helpful. So I can only imagine what it would be like buying a new primary residence. So we're not going to dive into that today. That was one we did, I believe, last week or a few weeks ago. But today we are going to dive into our new platform, which is our Pre-Sales Renovation Financing. So, a lot of you may know Compass, the real estate company, had this as kind of their Compass Concierge platform. And, they've recently kind of backed off it a little bit. And so there's a real need for this in the marketplace today. And we're excited to partner with Revive, a company that we've known for quite some time and are excited about what they're doing. And so now we can call it relocation services because we're offering more than just one service when a client is relocating. And the goal here is to create a full financial and real estate dependency on our Art of Home Ownership team, right? So you as an Art of Home Ownership professional, whether you're a lender or a real estate agent, the goal would be that that client doesn't do anything real estate or financially related without reaching out to you first, because they know you offer so much proactively and consistently. And the relocation services being no different. So let's dive into this, and we will, I'm going to move to a different slide here, and we will get rolling. So Dalip and Michael, are you guys on the call, or just Dalip?
Yep, we're here.
Awesome.
How are you?
Doing great. So we have our team, our financing team on the call here today with everybody to be able to go through all this. And so we're going to get through the deck first. We'll do questions at the end. Again, you can type in the chat box, and then we can unmute you if you want to do kind of some dialogue back and forth. But if we took questions all the way throughout, we probably wouldn't get to the rest of the presentation. So let's move through here. So essentially what we're doing is we are offering the ability for, I'll go back here, offering the ability for, if I'm going to, go to Grace's house and offer to list her home, and I walk in and realize that, man, if Grace only did, a couple things to the house, it would really pop, right? It would really sell for a higher price. You'd have that emotional connectivity walking into the house. You would, you'd get much more buyers because they don't have to think creatively about what they could do to the home. It's already upgraded, right? And so I know that if I put $20,000 or $30,000 worth of work into Grace's house, we can sell it for $50,000 or $60,000 more, right? Comparables will show that, and we just know that number would be there. So normally I'd have to have that conversation with Grace, and Grace would say, well, as much as I'd love to do that, I don't have $20,000 or $30,000 lying around. We don't want to have to do a full renovation financing, refinance loan to do that. We don't want to have to sell it with renovation financing on the buyer side. And so, the conundrum is Grace would have to pay cash for that work and then hope that money comes back. Now, our pre-sales renovation financing allows us to offer Grace that $20,000 to $30,000 at no cost to her, right? So there'll be a second loan that would be on that property for that, let's call it $30,000, no interest, no fees. And then when Grace sells her home, the money is paid back to the financing team. And we'll get into how that works here in a little bit, but we're going to walk through this and just talk about why it's important. So buyer demographics. In 2020, millennials will be buying the bulk of real estate in the US. Not sure if you're aware, but millennials aren't typically all that, well, I don't want to, I'm one of them, so maybe I'm just talking about myself, but we aren't typically the people who are going to say, oh, I'm going to do this and this and this. We just kind of walk into a house that's done and want to buy it, right? That's why new home sales are so important. So it's going to speak to them a lot. Plus, they don't have a significant amount of assets to be able to do that work after they buy the home. A lot of them are doing low down payments. So people can't buy a home and then expect to put $20,000, $30,000 of work into it. They kind of want that work to be done already, so they don't have to have that additional money. Stats don't lie. Turnkey homes sell faster and more. That's just, data that we get from National Association of Realtors. And then perceived value. Buyers typically can't visualize the end result from remodeling, which is I'm the same exact way. If I walk into a house and it's not how I want it, I just can't even imagine it in another way. Right? And so I would assume a lot of people are like that. Some people have the creativity to kind of think around it, but most people want to see that home done in an appropriate way. All right, and so the renovation financing will front the cost of the seller's home improvement needs with no interest or hidden fees to the seller. The seller just repays the money spent at the time of closing when that home sells. Dalip and Michael, if you guys want to jump in on any of this stuff, and kind of expand upon it, please feel free. Otherwise, we can just wait till maybe the Q&A section of it.
Sure. I'll just say a quick word. Thanks, Ryan. I'm really excited to be a part of your platform to offer your clients a very valuable service. The only thing I would add is, this isn't just the money. This is also the opportunity to work with a special team that knows exactly how to guide the real estate agent and the homeowner what are the things to do that are going to give you the highest ROI and what that budget should be. And so I think that's something notable to mention. And I also think that, as the industry has been changing and evolving, this type of service is going to be mainstream. So we think that, real estate agents having this or adopting this early, definitely going to outcompete competitors that may already have something like this, like a Compass agent. But in the future, when everybody has access to something like this, whether it's through a brokerage or whatever, you need to have a service like this to better compete. So those are the two things I wanted to mention.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I probably should have led with that, but guys, is no different than the art of homeownership, right? The art of homeownership will be, given to essentially the top 1% of originators and real estate professionals in the marketplace to use. This being one of the 7 services, just like any one of our services alone, they're really great, right? And they can help you stand out. But when they're combined and packaged into a commitment to the consumer, then it really becomes different, right? And yes, there will be agents that have access to pre-sales renovation financing in the future in multiple different ways. Sometimes it'll cost the client money, sometimes it won't. But being fast, being first, and being the loudest with this is going to give you the ability to take market share and be known as that person. We had a training, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago on one of these calls where we talked about, staking your claim as the provider of all things real estate or finance related. And this is one of the many things it allows you to do. So great point there. So guys, what kind of projects do you approve? That's a frequently asked question. Do you want to dive into that?
Sure. I think this program is meant for, making a home turnkey. It is not supposed to be used for like room additions or whatnot. Now, having said that, it could really use for anything. Anything that you, the agent, and the homeowner feel like is necessary to bring that home to market in the best light, it's approved. Just think, flooring, painting, carpet, maybe countertops, maybe kitchen cabinets, softscape, things like that. Don't think adding on a second level or a room addition, anything of that nature. But yes, anything you can think of that you need to do to improve the appearance of the home and the position of the home is something we can take on.
Ideally, we want these renovations to be within 2 months. So
Yeah.
we're on the market on MLS within 2 months, and the renovations are done. So it's quick, get in, lipstick on a pig, and hopefully we'll sign that home for the top dollar.
And that's what most real estate agents want, right? They want to be in and out. They don't want to like get a listing and then wait a year to put it on the market. But a little paint goes a long way. Fresh flooring, fresh carpet goes a long way. Taking out that travertine tile and putting in some nice quartz countertops goes a long way. And those are all very quick things, relatively inexpensive, that people can do really quickly to make a dramatic difference in the appeal of a home. So there's no excuse to take a home to market looking, not great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, guys. And the next question, how does Art of Homeownership Renovation Financing make a profit? So as Revive, as our partner, how do you guys profit from this? And how does the client do this without having to pay any money?
Great. So the way Revive makes its money is We buy the service provider's contract at a slight discount. So we work very hard to negotiate preferential pricing for you, the clients, and we also buy those contracts at a discount, really replacing the marketing dollars that those service providers usually put out to get leads and business. They kind of like shifted over to us. We don't charge those marketing dollars up front. We charge them at the end after they've gotten a job successfully.
Yeah, I think it's important to note there's no lead fees to the service providers, no placement fees. They just pretty much pay like when the job is complete. That when they revenue, we revenue, and that's sort of like our motto here, even with agents.
And typically, we do collect some transaction fees from real estate agents, but through the program offered through Art of Home Ownership, those will be waived.
Yeah, and we'll chat about that here towards the end. One of the questions is, can the client, can the seller or the listing agent, can they use their own preferred kind of contractors, or do they have to go through Revive contractors?
So we have a Rolodex of contractors, but we're growing that list constantly. And so we actually love it when real estate agents already have an awesome relationship with a stager or painter that they trust and have used multiple times. If you would introduce them to the platform, they're going to thank you for it, because not only are you going to be able to benefit from working with the people you love, but they're going to get a bunch more eyeballs on them, and hopefully you'll be driving them a lot of business. So you could absolutely use your own service providers on Revive. They do have to get on our platform, but a simple introduction, most people are super excited to have a lead source that they didn't have before that's going to cost them nothing.
Yeah, that's been about 60% of our business. Is a lot of the transactions we've done, agents have invited their own service provider, but we do require that they're licensed and insured. So they do have to be approved to be on our platform and part of the ecosystem.
And just to be, you guys mentioned staging too, which I wasn't even aware of. So it can be for staging also, correct? Anything from like $100 job to a $50,000 job, as long as it can be done in a short time frame, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So, and that's one of the benefits. I don't know if that's going to be a question, but there are no minimums, there are no maximums. So you could do a $500 cleaning, you could do a $200,000 remodel, and with staging, it could be virtual staging, it could be actual staging. Again, whatever is necessary to position that home in the best light possible, so it could present well on the market and get it sold quickly for the top dollar.
That's amazing, guys. Thank you. I don't know if everyone else's wheels are turning as quickly as mine are, but there's a lot of opportunity with this. So next is kind of the streamlined process, right? Is identify, plan, bid work. We'll go through this fairly quickly. We don't want to go through a full deal, but like when we say identify, I'm assuming you're referring to the real estate agent, goes to the listing presentation and just realizes, okay, the home could use some work. That's the identification, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. And then this is kind of an example, right? So now, the question we get asked a lot is what we go to. I know you guys said usually 70 or 80% LTV, meaning 20 to 30% equity in the home. So this would be a good example of that. So if it's $1 million sales price, and we know that 20% equity is 200,000, but they owe 700,000. Are we going to if we need 50,000, that works, correct? Because that keeps us at the 25% equity range, correct?
That's correct, yeah. In this example, yeah, you would have an approximate budget of $50,000. And again, the thing to keep in mind here, we're trying to make sure that after we make this investment in this home, there's enough money to pay us back when the home actually sells. And what we want is like a 20% equity in there, so we make sure that there's going to be no issues with that.
Yeah, and that's also, guys, taking into consideration, commissions, closing costs, everything else like that. So, I would probably, just to be safe, try and keep it, because we know between costs and commissions that can be anywhere from 4 to sometimes 8%, right? So it'd probably be a good idea, just kind of a top of mind, to try and keep it at, hey, if you have 30% equity right now, we can pull this off.
And Ryan, what I could say is, real estate agents don't have to do this calculation. There's a calculator that we provide them. They just plug in the debt, the home value, and bam, pops out. Here's your potential up to renovation budget. Now, a lot of times we see that people actually have decent equity. You don't always want to spend all that equity. We'll guide you if you need any help in terms of what should I set my budget at. If it says that I could get up to $400,000, it doesn't mean you should spend $400,000, but maybe you want to spend 50 to 60% of the delta between the as-is value and the after renovations value. So that's a little bit more advanced, but yes, to this point, there's a calculator that could easily spit out this number for the real estate agent looking to use this.
Got it. Perfect. And this is the calculator you're referring to, correct?
Yeah.
There we go. Asking you shall receive. All right. So plan, right? This would just be, delivering, kind of identifying the work that needs to be done, planning out the project. You guys want to expand on this at all?
Yeah, so I think the planning stage, once you've identified something, you want to run it by your homeowner and kind of get them on board. Like, look, if we invest, your as-is value is maybe 900,000. If we could just kind of bring this up to the neighborhood standard, we could sell it for $1 million. So we want to spend about $50,000 here remodeling this, and that, and you're not going to have to pay. This is what the program looks like. Get them on board is the planning stage. And then the second, if you go to the next slide, I think, which is.
Let me do this. Come on. Oh, sorry.
There you go. Yeah. So once you've got like the, oh, sorry, I think you maybe went too, but I can just, there we go. So once you kind of get the homeowner on board with this, then you'll want to solicit these bids, right? And you'll solicit bids. We have a double-sided open marketplace where you can get 2-3 bids for painting, maybe introduce your painter and get them to put in a bid. And then you kind of like go through those bids with the homeowner and pick the one that like you normally do. Very little deviation from what real estate agents probably do today, which is make recommendations, guide their clients to make certain decisions. So everything is the same here. So that's that portion of, that's step 3. And then once that's happened, yeah, there you go, determine the scope. And so then the work really starts. Once that's been accepted, the work starts. And the final step is once the work is complete, the homeowner releases the contract and says they've done the work that they promised to do. And then we pay them right away within 24 to 48 hours. And then the real work begins. The real estate agent puts this on the market and sells it, and we get paid through escrow whenever they sell it. Up to 12 months from the time this all started is what we allow for.
Yeah, so it's no interest, no fees. For 12 months, we don't control how you list it or ask you to decrease the price if the home doesn't sell. We say, agents, you have 12 months to sell the home. If you can't sell the home in 12 months, something is seriously wrong, or your seller is not serious about selling.
Yeah, guys, we're going to go into one of the scriptings and processes around price reduction. So we'll get into that to make sure that the price holds steady. And so we'll get into that towards the end of this. One of the things I think is important is knowing that all of these service providers, they're licensed, they're insured, they're designated pre-sale specialists. They, have standard contracts. Can you guys go over this a little bit?
Yeah, so Dalip already mentioned that we require all service providers to be licensed and insured, okay? And then what we do is we actually spend some time with these service providers, talking to them about who our clients are, because a real estate agent or a homeowner selling a home is different from you, Ryan, trying to like get a kitchen upgrade, right? Those clients are looking at time is of the essence. They want to get that home on the market as fast as possible, and they're looking at ROI. We're not remodeling these homes, or typically you wouldn't want to remodel these homes to owner's taste or seller's taste. We're remodeling it to buyer's taste, right? And we're trying to do the minimal. We're trying to create a neutral turnkey home here. Nothing too specific to any taste. So we kind of educate our service providers about the needs of who is going to be engaging them. So, and we have a process that we go through with them to make sure that they understand who our clients are. The standardized contract portion is, we have a contract that we require all our service providers use. This is great because as the real estate agent, as you do more and more deals using this program, you're going to become really familiar with this standard contract. And really what it is, it's a pretty comprehensive contract that really incorporates all of the mandatory California disclosures or whatever state that you might be in disclosures into that contract. Oftentimes I see, homeowners hiring painters and different people. Sometimes they don't even get a contract, and that's fine if nothing goes wrong. But when things go wrong, it's really good to have a contract that protects your client. So that's what this is. This is an easy contract that outlines, all the disclosures, all their rights. We do mandate all service providers provide a 1-year workmanship warranty that is transferable to the buyers. That's a that's a nice thing to note. And so that's pretty much it. So we've standardized that to make it super easy and have some protections in there for the clients. The competitive pricing, we do require, we do kind of go over, we vet our contractors to make sure that they're within a certain standard of pricing. We don't want them trying to gouge your clients, because that would just be a reflection on us. So we're setting up some parameters for them to understand, how they should be pricing things and if they're a good fit for us. But really, competitive pricing, it's an open marketplace. So if you don't like a price there, then you just get another bid. You get another bid. We do require real estate agents to review service providers on our list. So every time a real estate agent hires a service provider, every single time they rate them in this closed system environment, so that other realtors can see those. You could benefit from that as a realtor, seeing other realtors' reviews of that service provider. And we're hoping that, over time, the bad service providers kind of get weeded out of the program if they're not providing an excellent service. So we're trying to basically instill a culture similar to that of Uber and Angie's List when they first came out. You remember the water bottles and the gum and the chargers and stuff. So we want the service provider to really know that how they do for you is a direct correlation to their revenue stream and their lead source. So I already talked about the 1-year warranty. I talked about the rated realtors. So I think
love that.
Yeah.
So guys, one of the benefits of being an Art of Home Ownership certified real estate professional, or obviously mortgage professional, is not only do you get access to this renovation financing, but you're also going to have kind of pre-sale experts, a team of people helping you with marketing materials. Obviously, you'll accelerate your earnings. You have kind of on-demand webinars that the group will be holding. You have live support staff, not only from Revive and their team, but from the Art of Home Ownership support staff. And the fees being waived is really important here. So one of the questions that we had in the Q&A was, what are the transaction fees for the agent? So let me go back here. Transaction fees for Revive are $250 per transaction for the real estate professional, right? And so the ability to, being an Art of Home Ownership certified real estate professional for all 7 services, right? With your home concierge service, with your moving technology, with your monthly real estate wealth digest, everything that we offer, the annual financial reviews, the perfect mortgage promise, the entire commitment to a real estate professional costs $399 a month. So if you do 2 of these deals in a month, you actually end up saving $100, right? And you get all 6 of the other services on top of it. And again, like anything else, I think a lot of people run their businesses and they say, well, we have this over here, and then we have this here, and then we also do this. And none of it's congruent, right? It's not a full-on way of doing business. It's just you have a couple different things in different areas. When it's collaborative, right? When it's together, when you have it bundled as a part of the Art of Home Ownership, it's something that the client will always remember, right? I mean, think about what we're doing right here. We're creating a dependency where, would anybody in their right mind ever want to move again if they knew that you would help them with the relocation technology? We would do a financial transition plan, making sure they're transitioning appropriately. You're going to make sure they get top dollar for their home, and it doesn't cost them anything to be able to do that. Like, no one should ever move again, or even remotely think about moving again, until talking to you well in advance. And the Art of Home Ownership allows you to go offer this entire platform to people, right? You can offer all 7 of these services before they ever think about buying or selling a home. Like, imagine the power behind that. So we're going to get into that a little bit later here on the call, but really important to understand, the cost of this thing. If you do 3 or 4 of these a month, you're paying $750 to $1,000 a month in transaction fees. And again, this Art of Home Ownership platform is not meant for the agent that does a deal every other month or a deal a month, nor is it meant for the mortgage professional who does a few deals a month. It's meant for the highest and best and the most valuable real estate and mortgage professionals in the country to separate themselves, to shine a light on those individuals, to say, look, we are doing something massively differently in the real estate and mortgage community. Come see what it looks like, right? Don't do real estate the way you've done it for the last 100 years, Mr. Buyer or Seller, right? Do it this way, right? The value you're going to get from working with an Art of Home Ownership professional is going to drastically outweigh the transactional nature of what you're typically used to. So there's going to be a page on the e-learning platform. So when you become an Art of Home Ownership professional, you can sign up right through here. It'll be part of your onboarding as a real estate professional. and you'll onboard, you'll go through the certification process with the Revive team. So you'll have the certification to be able to offer it. They'll know that they'll be waiving all your transaction fees. You'll have a lot of marketing material, a lot of stuff that you'll be able to use through Art of Homeownership that will help provide for you, that doesn't just talk about the pre-sale renovation financing, but talks about the other 6 components as well. So you're offering a suite of services to somebody on day one, whether they want to buy a home or sell a home or finance a home, irregardless. All right. Well, any questions? I have some chats here. Let's see here. Is this something we can provide to a client as the loan officer on a sale, or do we have to have the realtor on board with Art of Homeownership to do this? Really great question. So we cannot offer this as a loan officer because obviously we're not executing the transaction, filling out the contract. We're not going through this. So you can offer it to your realtor. If you're a mortgage professional on this call or on the platform, you can introduce them to Revive, and then they would have to go through the process. But then you'd have to let them know, hey, every time you do this, you're going to pay $250, right? Every time you do one of these transactions. Whereas if you just become an Art of Homeownership partner with me, it's $150 more per month, but you can do 4 or 5 of them a month. And you get all 6 of those services, which as we get later on into the platform, it almost is a bit of a no-brainer. If I'm a real estate professional, I think, wait a minute, like I can really offer all 7 of these services. Like there's nothing else that I can consider as a real estate professional that would make more sense to me, but obviously I'm biased. Can this work with for sale by owners at all, or just realtor centric? Great question, Walt. Revive team?
Sure. Great question. Revive is really an agent-centric and agent-facing organization. So we would not be like, we don't work with homeowners directly. So we're not a contractor. We're not, we wouldn't introduce contractors to, a person trying to sell their own home. They would need to be working with an agent who is using Revive.
Yeah, totally makes sense. I think working directly with the homeowner would add an extra layer of complexity to your life that you probably wouldn't want.
It's important to note that we do require our agents to be, they're certified to a certain degree to say they know the ins and outs of the program, they could speak about it confidently. So we did have a for sale by owner that wanted to use Revive, got in touch with us, and then the way that works is that we had referred that business to one of our certified partners. So it's a huge, just by like virtue of our business, we have a lot of homeowners, that savvy homeowners who are saying, I want to revive my home, I am interested in selling. And so it's becoming a direct, adding more value to our realtor agents to kind of like, find a new way of clientele as well.
Awesome. Guys, before we let Michael and Dalip go, any other questions, any other comments, any other feedback you guys have for them before we move into the mindset and the strategy of the week? All right. Well, Mike, Dalip, if you guys want to hang out, you're welcome to. I'm sure there may be some questions that come up in the next 15, 20 minutes, so feel free to hang out.